Welcome to the Every Brain is Different podcast. It is Samantha and Lauren here, and today we have Jason Heffler with us. Jason is an author whose book Tongue Tied helps young readers overcome speech disorders and fears around speaking. Drawing from his own childhood experience growing up with and getting bullied for a stutter, he writes uplifting tales that build confidence in kids who lack self-esteem. Welcome to the show, Jason. I'm so excited to have you here. And speaking of speech problems, I just said Jason, really weird. But anyway, so can you tell us a little bit more about your life and how you're involved in the neurodivergent community and all of that?
Yeah. Well, first off, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It means a lot. But yeah, so basically my story is I grew up with a stutter. I still have it. It was much worse when I was a kid, but no less stressful.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wrote this book because I didn't really have a lot of resources back then, especially books. So I kind of wrote the book I needed as a kid to understand what was going on and what I could do to overcome it.
Awesome. I love that people like you are writing books like this because we've had a couple other people on that are just writing about their experiences as children. And I think it's super important for children now to have those books so that they can relate to it. Like my son has a congenital cataract, and we got him a book where it talks about that. And then that Elio movie that came out, Elio was wearing a patch, and we didn't know why he was wearing a patch, but my son had to wear a patch like all growing up, and he was like, he's wearing a patch, and he was so excited. So yeah, I love that you are giving kids something that they can look at and kind of relate to and not feel so alone. So
Well, yeah,
yeah, can you tell us a little bit about the book? Like, obviously, it's about overcoming like speech issues that you had and stuff, but like more about it.
yeah. So it's centered around this main character who's a chameleon, and she basically her name's Cadence, and she has a speech impediment, and she trips over her tongue when she tries to talk. And when that happens, she camouflages into the forest because she's scared about how the other animals will treat her. So, without giving away too much, she has these encounters in the book with a bully, a frog, and she meets this best friend who's a cricket that helps her kind of move it up. And through these encounters, she realizes that people with speech impediments can still live a fulfilling and happy life and still achieve the same things that anyone else can.
I love it. So, can you tell us, for parents who are listening, if their child has a speech impediment or a stutter or it's just any of that, how can they help support their kid in helping them feel confident and not so, I don't know, just more confident, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of ways. If I were to name a couple, basically, like children who stutter, they have this confident voice in their head that it's legitimately stuck in their throat. They can't get it out. So if you just acknowledge that it's trapped in there, and if you help them find that, you can actually find yourself as well. One thing is teaching parents how to praise actual the more like the effort of speaking instead of the actual fluency. Focusing on what they say and not how they say it. Resisting the urge to finish their sentences or rush them. Let them take their time. Let them feel comfortable. By being patient in the actual dialogue, you can show them that their words matter no matter how they come out, no matter how fragmented. And then they get that sense of security that will strengthen their communication in the outside world. That's the big one.
Yeah, and we say that a lot on this podcast, like even outside of, speaking, if they're doing chores and they don't do the chore quite like you want it, like focus on the effort and focus on
Never.
what they did rather than, oh, you didn't do that right, So I love that. Definitely focusing on effort over fluency because obviously the kids are trying. They're not like doing it just to not be able to speak like they want to. And then,
Exactly.
yeah, and then you also brought up that it's important to show kids that speech issues don't need to be fixed. How can parents really show that to their kid?
Good question. Honestly, like I said, just patience is the biggest thing. If you're if if you're a big tree that stands tall and doesn't fold, like doesn't get frustrated, and they know they have that sense of security, they'll know.
Yeah. I like what you said in previous conversations that we had. You said instead of chasing a cure, it's liberating to embrace the truth that your voice, exactly as it is, can carry you through a life filled with all the same possibilities as others. And I love that. I just wanted to bring that up because you said that in previously. And so I love that line that you said. So, yeah, can you tell us about, I know sometimes with people who stutter, they sometimes get stuck and there's some strategies that you can use to get unstuck. Do you have any of those for parents or what do you recommend to
Yeah.
parents whose kids do that?
Yeah. So one of them, or the biggest one in my head, it's called cognitive reframing.
Hmm.
So basically, if you're, if for example, with my book, if
Yeah.
you're reading it, the parents can discuss and say stuff like, "How do you think this character felt when they were going through this?" Or what helps them feel brave. So just reframing their experiences, not as the experiences themselves, but how they made them feel, how they overcame it, like the nuances of it, focusing on those instead of the outcomes.
Love it. I love, yeah. And then also you can be teaching kids like social skills, understanding themselves, understanding, like their feelings, because I know a lot of kids like they feel a lot
Yeah,
of feelings, but they don't know what they mean. And so,
exactly.
yeah. And so
And
I think
then
that's super important. And then what? Sorry.
yeah, I was about to say, and then it like do, doing that, what you just explained, it kind of shows the kids that their speech it isn't it's not a barrier, but it's more of a challenge that they can actually navigate and they can overcome it. It helps build resilience.
Yeah. Yeah. And then
Yeah,
giving them the confidence that, just because they don't speak like other people, they can still accomplish great things, or do whatever they want, achieve their goals.
yeah.
I
And then
love that.
and then another one that can help. This kind of helped me when I was a kid is actually looking into a mirror and
Mhm.
speaking because stutterers they when their words come out and they know they're stuttering. Every stutterer has like these ticks that they do that they it helps them get the words out, or at least they think it does. Like me, I tap my foot and it kind of helps you get going. So if you look in the mirror and you talk and you see those ticky things that you do, it kind of makes you more cognizant of them, and it it makes you more aware in social situations like maybe I should stop doing this.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, that's a good tip.
Yeah.
Have you, just because I'm a music therapist and I know that music therapists
Uh,
work with people who stutter, have you ever used music in any way to help you, like with that?
I don't think you know much of my background beside the author stuff, so I'll
No, I don't.
the answer is yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So my 9 to 5, my main job is I'm the managing editor of a major dance music publication.
Oh,
It's called EDM.com. It's like the nation's largest dance music site. So I run the site. I manage all the writers. I write a couple articles a day. Prior to that, I was a DJ, and I spun at some major festivals and all the big clubs in LA. And so yeah, I use music my entire life to express myself. And when I was spinning, I would actually get on the mic in front of legit like thousands of people. And when I would speak on the mic, the stutter would just go away.
that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I asked you that. That makes me really happy.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit more about expressing yourself through music when maybe was it just easier to express yourself through music when speech was a barrier to maybe expressing yourself, or how did you think about that?
Definitely. It was a vehicle. Like I said, the stutter is much worse when I was a kid, and like on like through college as well. So when I started making music, I would use little lyrics as a vehicle to express what I couldn't just say, and then I would have to, because I was a producer, I wasn't a vocalist, so then I would team up with singers to sing the lyrics I wrote, and that's how I got everything out there.
I love it. I say that a lot,
Yeah.
but I do. It's awesome. That makes me really
Yeah.
happy because I talk a lot about how in music, like if you have like music therapy works with communication, like in that realm a lot. And people who have a hard time communicating for one reason or another, whether people don't understand them or they're just not, different neurotypes or whatever, music can be that vehicle to express yourself when you don't feel comfortable using other things to express yourself. And yeah, that's just awesome. Okay, so you talk about being bullied and stuff as a kid. What would you say to parents whose child might be being bullied? Like, how can they help them? How can they help them stand up for themselves? Or just what would you recommend to parents with that?
Yeah. So first off, I knew this later in life, but not back in the day. I realized that like bullying and cruelty, they come from ignorance, not, malice. When you get bullied, the kid just doesn't know what's going on with you, and the odds are that they're going through something much worse than you. So I always say it's about compassion and empathy. Just walk away, unless the bully gets aggressive. Then you got to fight, and yeah, if that's what it takes, you got to pop them in the chin if you have to. But first, it's about empathy. Walk away.
Yeah, 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 for sure. Yes, that's what I tell my kids. If someone, like, don't just hit someone
Yeah.
and don't push or be violent with someone, but if someone is like literally beating you up, you have to defend yourself. So, yeah,
Yeah.
Make sure you're not the first one to throw the punch.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. For sure.
And fights. Don't
Yeah.
start them.
Yeah. But definitely start with that empathy, understand that maybe something is going on with them that, like you said, that's worse than what's going on with you. Is there any like language that you would use to teach kids that? Because I know empathy is like kind of hard for kids to understand. Do you have any suggestions for that?
That's a good question. I've never been asked. Yeah, no, I think I would just say, look, I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on. I'm really sorry about whatever it is, but this isn't about me. It's about you, and I hope everything's okay at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what do you recommend for if a kid just wants to tell people like, hey, I stutter. It's okay. This is just me.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Acknowledgement is everything. It's
Yeah.
everything. And I'm so happy that you asked that, because that changed my life. No joke. I hid behind my stutter forever. And then once I graduated college and I needed to find a job and become an adult, I was stuttering my way through job interviews, and I realized that these employers didn't think that I could be fluent on the job. So I was getting rejected over and over again, and I was at my end, and I was like, I'm just gonna acknowledge it and see what happens. So I had a job interview, and right off the rip, I was like, look, I have a stutter. It's obvious. I'm aware of it. It in no way affects the way I communicate. It doesn't affect my work ethic. I promise you, it's just the way I am. And if anything, it makes me stronger, because I've had thick skin from growing up with this. And instantly I saw that they were thankful and grateful and for my honesty. And they saw, those qualities like candor that they valued in the role, and then I got hired. So acknowledging it is everything, and especially with friends as well. If you meet a new friend and you say, "Oh, I have a stutter the way I am," I could be your best friend. I'm. It's not like I'm different. If that person is down, it'll be your best friend. If they're not, then you don't want them in your life anyway. And you won't know that until you acknowledge it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And then I think just acknowledging it and saying, hey, I have this, and it doesn't change who I am. It's just who I am. It's part of me. I think it changes something in your brain too, like the way you see yourself, where you
Oh,
said you
yeah.
hid behind your stutter. And then once you just acknowledged it, I feel like the way you spoke, it made you more confident in yourself. Just saying, I have a stutter. It's okay. I'm still going to be able to do everything that I want to do.
Yeah. And exactly. And when you own your struggles, it's not weakness. It's a step toward reclaiming your voice. And every it, every encounter and every interaction like that you have, it builds your strength up, no matter how messy they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. I fully agree with that. I notice like I have ADHD and OCD, and when I tell people like, "Hey, I have a lot of anxiety," they're much more understanding than if before when I didn't tell them, and I would just have meltdowns because the anxiety would just build up, build up, build up, and then I'd just start
Mm.
crying.
Oh
Um,
man.
like I noticed that people were much more understanding. And I'm not saying like just go out and be like, I have anxiety, I have ADHD, like to just random people, but like people, that are close to you or that you have to interact with. It just helps them understand that, hey, you have this, you're still like the same person, you just have to deal with this. And so I tell them like, if you see me doing this, it means I'm having a lot of anxiety, so just give me a minute. And so
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's important. And then
For
me just acknowledging it, being like, well, this is something I have, but it doesn't define me, then that kind of helps me have more confidence too. So
sure. Yeah.
yeah. Is there
Absolutely.
where can people find your book or find more out about you and all of that?
It's on Amazon. If you just type in tongue tied book, it should be at the top of Amazon. Yeah, and it's also on Barnes and Noble's site. So I think they're shipping is quicker there. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. We'll have a link for it in the show notes. So if people want to get it, they can go to the show
Oh,
notes and get that link.
thank you.
And is there anything else that you would want to tell parents or tell people with a stutter or speech impediment or anything like that?
Yeah, it it gets better. That's it. I mean, it is rough when we're young. I mean, every time you open your mouth, it's it's ruthless and it's vicious, and kids don't know how bad it is. But you will get that thick skin the older you get, and just gotta be patient and power through it. And once you're older, you will surround yourself with people who get it and love you, and it'll all be good.
Awesome. Thank you. And
Yeah.
then do you have any resources, obviously other than your book, that you would recommend to people?
Yeah, this Stuttering Foundation is amazing. Amazing. They have this huge network of parents and stutterers and doctors and books, and it's amazing. The Stuttering Foundation is like the number one most helpful.
Awesome. And we'll have a link for that in the show notes too, if people want to check that out. Thank you. Our last question is, what do you do for fun?
For fun,
Yeah.
well, I love fantasy football.
Nice.
As lame as that sounds, I'm addicted to it. And then just recreational sports, pickleball, tennis.
Pickleball, yes.
Yeah, pickleball is the most addicting thing ever. I'm obsessed now.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I had such an embarrassing moment playing pickleball. I was like ready to smash it. And you know how you can't go up in front of that line and hit a ball?
Kitchen.
I totally forgot about that. And I was like, boom, I was like, in your face. And they're like, you just broke the rules. And I'm like, cool, cool, cool. So anyway, good times.
You and I would never be partners. I would get so angry at that. Like my wife and I, she does that all the time. And
Competitive.
That's hilarious. Yeah, well, thank you for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. We appreciate your time and all the
Thanks
great
for having
tips
me.
that you shared. So,
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Means a lot.
Great.
well, Lauren, I like him. I say that about all our guests, but I
They're
really
also
liked what he
great.
had to share.
No,
What did you think?
I agree. I love his energy. I love the concept of his book. Going back, like representation matter. I mean, your son was proof with the movie, and this book is probably gonna help a lot of kiddos. So I really love that.
Another representation thing. I was doing music therapy with this girl, and she sometimes uses a wheelchair because she just needs a wheelchair sometimes. And there was a wheelchair user in the book, and she got so excited. She's like, she's in a wheelchair. I use a wheelchair. She's in a wheelchair. She was so excited. So yes,
Yeah.
representation matters. Like,
It does.
and kids get so excited when they see other people like them, and adults too, you know?
Mhm.
So anyway, that is awesome.
I want to add on to that. A long time ago, I was at the zoo with my friend and her twin sister, who is deaf and she's a hearing aid. We were walking around the zoo, and this little girl just like grabbing her parents, was so excited and kept pointing at my friend's sister, and it's just like pointing at the hearing aid. She was stoked just to see someone else with it, and so it's so important and it's so beneficial for kiddos.
Yeah.
So I love that. I love the just acknowledgement, like acknowledging it, not even for like for yourself, but for also like other people. I think it takes away so much uncertainty on both parties if you're just kind of, hey, I know this is the thing I have. Then the other people aren't, worried or being judgy or, no matter what the issue might be. And so I think that's really important. But I also think it helps open the conversation more and more and more of there are so many people that are masking and hiding behind these struggles and different types of struggles. And I think when we can be honest and share it, I mean, not just every willy-nilly, but as needed and stuff to function, I think that's what's going to help society change as a whole, is by having these conversations, and it's going to make people more aware and more inclusive and things like that. But we have to have the conversations. And then just one last thing that he said that I really loved is he would say it's not barriers or challenges that they can navigate.
Yeah.
Like, you just put in the work, you get the skills, coping skills, all of it. It's like you can do anything you want to do.
Yeah. And I think when he said, just owning it, going back to that, if someone is bullying you and you own it and say, yeah, I am like that, it kind of takes away their power to where it's not fun for them anymore because you're like, yeah, I have that. I do that. You're right. And it kind of lets the steam out of their cells because they're not getting the reaction that they want. And like he said, usually people who are bullying are going through something hard too. And so that's why they're doing that, to make themselves feel better and make themselves feel like they're not actually doing going through what they're going through. And so if they seeing you like squirm or be upset or whatever, if you just come back with, yeah, I stutter. It's who I am. Not who I am, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's part of me. That's fine.
Yeah.
It kind of takes that away and takes their power away. And so I really like that too. I wish I would have taught my kids to say that because they've been bullied. And I just wish I would have been like, yeah, like my son, yeah, I wear a patch. It's helping me see better.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your problem?
Just like this person wears glasses.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, this person has this. This reminds me, I don't know if you've seen it, but the movie 8 Mile with Eminem when they're doing a rap battle and he basically just kind of acknowledges all that he is, because then the other guy can't do a diss about it because he's just acknowledging everything. And he's like totally thrown off. He's like, what do I do? What do I do now? You just acknowledge like all the things that I see as your faults.
Yeah.
And so it's just reminding me of that.
I have not seen that movie, but
the
song from that movie, I play on a daily basis. And it gets me ready for the day. Yes, I can do this,
Love it.
So I can't remember. What's the name of that song?
The Mom's Baby song.
Anyway, I listen to it every day and I love it. So if you need a good pump up song, maybe get the edited version if you don't like the F word. I don't like the F word, so I get the edited version. But anyway, yeah. Thank you all for listening this week. Like we said, if you want to get the book, the link will be in the show notes. And please go support Jason. He wrote a great book. I love it. So, yeah. And then we will see you all next week.